Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk, and Eid Mubarak to all our viewers, and Eid Mubarak to you too, Adil.
Eid Mubarak, Hassan. How
Yeah,
was your Eid?
stuffed, stuffed.
Expected more decorations in the room.
Yeah, not in this room. Mainly done the decoration at the front of the house and in the other room, in the dining room, because I mean, pretty much everyone spends their time during Eid in the dining room. So yeah, that's where it is. And we got some lights up in the front window, but yeah, obviously we can't see it. But yeah, that's about it. That's about it.
That's it.
But yeah, interesting day of Eid. Watching the game, especially the Arsenal one 3-0, heart attacks all around. But I mean, another brilliant week of football you had. Obviously, Spurs getting thumped at Newcastle. You had obviously over the week you had Man City going through in the Champions League. They're going to play Real Madrid, and now obviously they've gone through to the final, beating Sheffield United, and obviously Man United went through on penalty, beating Brighton. So it's going to be a Manchester derby at the FA Cup final. It's a great weekend of football overall, isn't it?
Yeah, and I had a feeling you'll mention the Spurs result early just to get over the Eid day stress.
Listen. Anyone would mention that thumping. That was embarrassing. 21 minutes, 5 goals. Come on, man. Even their own manager hasn't ever experienced that.
I think we should start with the
But yeah,
league.
let's
Uh,
yeah no no let's start with the running, because obviously it's been 3 games, 7 goals conceded, and 3 draws, because and do Arsenal hand over the title to Man City, because that's what it seems like at the moment when you look at from the outside perspective.
well, they've obviously given the momentum away. It was in their hands.
Hmm.
I know they still may feel like it's in their hands, but it's not certainly not a firm grip like they had before. And beforehand, they had margin for error. They've now lost all of those margin for errors.
100%.
Um, and the only saving grace for Arsenal at the moment is the fact that City are having to play in all these other competitions, and they're a few games behind because if they were able to play, the pressure would be a lot more,
Yeah, yeah.
and that buffer and that false sense of security where they think they still have it in their hands, it wouldn't be as strong. So definitely they've handed over the initiative, and yeah, it's come out a surprise for me. I mean, I don't know about you, but
Not
when you
not
think
not a surprise for
performances.
me. Not a surprise for me. I'll explain
Yeah,
why.
look, you're a pessimist when it comes to Arsenal, but when the performance against Liverpool, I thought the first half was one of the best performances I've seen, certainly for 35 minutes at Anfield. Even against who was it before that?
Now after that, West Ham.
Um, yeah, I mean, first half was decent. They played okay. They played really good, confident football, and even against um
Southampton.
Southampton. Southampton was the one where you would say, the nerves and the mistakes were there from the beginning, and the confidence you can see it has taken about. It took them until what, going 3-1 down before you actually saw Arsenal starting to play with the urgency and fearlessness that we've been used to seeing from them.
Mm.
But yeah, it's been a surprise for me. I wasn't expecting it simply because of how good they've been playing,
No, no,
and it
agreed.
just shows.
Agreed, but I always pretty much knew back of my mind, because this running is just going to be key, and this how we handle those moments, and it's proven that case where they're not handling it well. And obviously everyone will point to the fact that Saliba's missing, but That's as great as obviously Saliba's missing. I know it takes away a lot from the team. As a team, you should still be doing better. Just because Saliba's missing, that doesn't give you an excuse for what Partey is doing, for what Zinchenko's doing. You know, they're you could call the leaders of the team. And if you're doing what they're doing, then obviously a team's gonna struggle. And then obviously the way Ramsdale gave the initiative, even the I thought the West Ham game, the equalizer, Ramsdale should have saved. The game against obviously Southampton again is Ramsdale's mistake that led to the goal. And then obviously the next two goals, it was Zinchenko. So it's big players causing issues. And another thing I would touch up on is Jesus. You know, he had a brilliant opportunity. I mean, it was harder to miss the chance than actually score. Well, so they're big moments, and you need to grab that opportunity. Or if you want to be champions, you got to do it.
Let's rewind back a bit. There's a couple of things you said there.
Go on.
A tad harsh, I would say.
No, not harsh. Not harsh. If you want to be big boys, you need to play like big boys. Not like
whatever issues you have with Zinchenko. I don't have a problem with it because he annoys me too.
Well, but you have a problem with it because he called a huddle, yeah?
No, I just think he's hot air. Like
oh man.
For an average player, he goes on like he's a superstar, and I just think he needs to know his place and his level. Personal opinion. But at the end of the day, that aside, to blame the second goal totally on him.
No, it's not totally him. No. But what I said was two of the goals.
So I don't know. I mean,
it's Odegaard as well. It's Odegaard as well. It's Odegaard as well, but
not just Odegaard. The pass was a poor pass. Gabriel got sold way too easily. He's facing the wrong way, wrong body angle. You know, there's a lot of other guys.
No. So on that one, I disagree because no. On that one, it would have been stopped. So I don't know if you saw this image. So I saw an image of the position. If holding wasn't so deep, because Gabriel's position was decent. If holding wasn't so deep, the ball that gets played into Alcaraz, right? Holding would have been right next to him. But because holding was so deep, because he's scared of the running behind, then it leaves Gabriel in an awful position. So I think that was the problem. Holding was far too deep because if I haven't got the picture, it would have been brilliant.
I've seen the same picture. I don't agree totally because even if Holding kept his line level with Gabriel, he would have still had to have taken a few steps to close in on Alcaraz. But he rushes challenging Alcaraz. That's fine. But I think you're forgetting the point that he was slightly deeper because Arsenal were in possession of the ball. And you're talking about milliseconds here. Like anyone can freeze a frame and you will find in possession, 90% of the defenders are out of position. Always. Because they're not actually expecting their teammate to give the ball away the way they did. So I do think it's all a bit too harsh. These are the type of ones where I don't agree with analytics because they've forgotten the biggest factor. A stupid pass in the midfield straight to the Southampton player is what causes the real issue.
Yeah, from Odegaard, yeah.
No, and the fact is Holding's position might actually have been fine because he was actually in a position to maybe receive the ball back from Odegaard in case the forward pass wasn't there. I do think it's a bit harsh to overanalyze to that, especially on those players. But the bit around Gabriel's defending for the thing, you always mark the inside, let the ball go on the outside. I'm sorry, for him to start.
That was Zinchenko. Zinchenko was on him.
No. He was marking. Gabriel was marking Walcott, and he's the one who gets sold by the movement of Walcott. Zinchenko is in no man's land. He doesn't go. He doesn't go near. He doesn't near go Alcaraz. He doesn't go. He's doing nothing. He's basically because of that role where he comes into midfield. He was in no man's land. He was in between both positions of the fullback and the thing. So he ended up in no man's land. So you can't question that. But thing is, that's why we rate them, and that's why we rate these managers and these players is because ultimately the way football has gone is you are asking players to play 2.5 positions every single time, 2.5 rows.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
squeezing so much out of them that when a bad pass happens and you get quick one-touch football, it's impossible for you to correct that situation.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah.
But it's just the individual errors of, I think mainly Gabriel. I think that's way too easy. I'm sorry. A
Mhm.
ball on the inside. Theo Walcott doesn't do that much of a movement to sell you. Alcaraz doesn't do any fakes to sell you that he's passing on the outside. The basics of defending,
Mm.
defend your goal. He's going for an intercept before he's thinking about defending the position. I think that's just poor defending. So put that one on. But I get your point. These mistakes. Thing is, these mistakes were happening in Arsenal matches all the way. I mean, as much as they've been playing well, they've every game I've watched, they've also given up chances.
Mm, mm.
It's never felt like a complete performance. It's just their attacking is that much more better than anyone else's. Their start to games were that much better than everyone else's. And then their management of game was so good. And that's the thing that surprised me is the two games previously when they've lost 2-0, when they're 2-0 up or drawn, they've drawn. What surprised me is the fact that their game management has gone out of the before they were time wasting, they were slowing the game down, they were taking long goal kicks, they were playing all. Suddenly in these games, it's like they've gotten carried away and they just want to thrash every team. It's like 2-0 wasn't enough. They're
Mm.
not going to change their mode. They're still going to over attack. They're still going to have
I
6 guys bombing forward.
uh, no,
And
I
it's
slightly, I
that
slightly,
naivety.
I slightly disagree with that point because I thought against, especially against West Ham, I thought after going 2-0 up, we were too laxy daisy, we got too relaxed, and we set back too much. We weren't playing to, like you said, keep that possession, etc. I don't think they were trying to over attack. I think they were just chilling too much, and I think that's a loser's mentality. If you want to win title, you'll see that game, that 2-0, City will make it 3-4-0. You saw a prime example against who did City play before that? I think Leicester. They went 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, boom, game killed off.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think the the difference between being finding it too easy
Mm,
and not attacking. If you look at when Partey gets picked off for the first goal against West Ham, they
mm.
concede. It's they only got two centre backs and Partey. Everyone else is bombing forward. So that's not a team that's trying to play defensive. That's a team that's playing naive. You're 2-0 up. There's no reason when a ball is being played to your midfield and he's getting pressed for both fullbacks to be gone, for every other midfielder to be able, because there's a man on both defenders. So I just think, yeah, yeah, they were playing a slower tempo, but maybe the game felt too easy. They didn't respect the game.
That's it.
And
That's it.
and that's where that but they were certainly still attacking. Maybe it wasn't because of attacking, maybe players were hiding because of the pressure situation. I don't know. But they certainly seem to be not respecting the opposition's press or the opportunity's ability to score.
But I'm no, me, and like us about talking about mental because we've talked about this before with Arsenal, not just with Arsenal. This is with any team. We look at the mentality of a squad and a team. And we've discussed this so much, and this is why it irritates me. And even last year when I spoke to you about like even Odegaard or this that, I said this team they got character, but I think it still lacks leadership. It still lacks those few experienced players, and even I don't know about you. I still think partly I blame Arteta because I think a lot of decisions he's got wrong. I don't know some of the substitutions that he does are just a bit weird. He breaks the rhythm. It completely changes the momentum or the way we're going forward. It takes another 15, 20 minutes for us to get that momentum back. And I think that's also causing an issue in itself because the substitution he's been making hasn't been helpful.
I think just to kind of offer a different angle to that is I agree to a point, but I also feel part of it is the journey of Arsenal in terms of up until this point, he's not had to make too much tactical changes. So the team isn't used to it. And the
Mm-hmm.
team ain't quite comfortable with the changes. So it is taking them longer to adjust when he has to do it because now is the first time in the season where he's having to do it. So
True.
you can criticize him for maybe not planning ahead and making changes a bit more when the going was good in terms of preparing the team a bit more strategically, tactically, so they can play and execute different styles and game plans. You can criticize that, but I also feel like because they were always exceeding or overachieving, it became a thing of let's just keep this momentum and keep this building up this big surprise lead at the top of the table that we're doing. So I
Mm.
think he didn't want to upset the momentum. So I mean there are extenuating factors.
No,
The
no, of
team
course.
does lack um, that tactical nous. Arteta hasn't taught them that enough. The example of United I could give you where those players he can do whatever. Most of the time they adjust to it. Why? Because he's been doing it the whole season,
Mm-hmm.
and now those players have gotten used to it. Same with Pep and City. Pep's been doing it all season, so they kind of know the combinations, the changes, and people know their roles.
No,
When
no,
it
valid. Sorry,
Arsenal, it's the first time.
I might. People will think I'm being very harsh, by the way, I am because I'm very critical of Arsenal. That, as Adi said, I'm a very negative person when it comes to Arsenal. But this is just me because I see and I want them to develop, obviously, to become a beast, and that's why I'm extra critical. I assume, but of course this experience is only gonna make them better for the future. I don't doubt that. That's not
Yeah.
my point. This experience obviously going to help them further down the line. But I'm just saying from what it is right now, that's what's lacking. And
I
I
mean,
think
I
it's
100%
over
agree with
to the
what
to
you're
the
saying,
leaders.
Hassan.
Mm,
100% agree with what you're saying. These are issues that Arsenal have.
mm.
I'm just trying to explain for the viewers
Yeah.
the reason why that's the case is simply because Arsenal obviously haven't thought that far ahead in terms of there'll come a time when we have a sticky patch. Maybe we should start working on some of these things earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, is that until you've been through it, you don't know the importance of these things. The other thing I think is they're real leaders at the front of the pitch. Odegaard, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
At the everything behind them are fake leaders.
Ah,
Xhaka, Zinchenko, Gabriel. These are the guys. Every time when it comes to surrounding the ref, shoving and pushing people, giving it the large, they're the first ones to the scene. When it comes to handling the pressure of Cooker of a title running, all the mistakes that come from him. Even Jack, I know he's been dropped or injured, which
it
whatever
was
the
it
reason
was
is.
unwell. It was unwell.
Yeah, well, that's good for Arsenal because if you look at the few games, he's nowhere to be seen. I don't think he's even playing in midfield anymore.
Mm.
He's leaving parties so isolated, and this is your experienced player. You're 2-0 up, and the guy is like the guy. It's like he's dying to get the golden boot or something. He's dying to get involved in the attack. It's like secure the game.
Mm. But
So
again, that comes down to game understanding, right? And understanding of the situation. And whether we like it or not, I personally I don't think obviously he's at that caliber. And a lot of Arsenal fan obviously added me a lot this season because obviously he's been performing decent for Arsenal. But which is true, he has been. But I know what he lacks, and this is why I wanted him gone.
Have I got a question for you?
Gone.
Do you think Arteta's made a mistake in playing holding instead of moving White back into centre back?
Then who right back because Tomiyasu's out.
He got put other players. I'm sure,
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I personally,
Kiwiya is the right
Person,
back.
who?
Kiwiya or whatever his
Kua is
name is.
not a right back. He played left back and CDM. He's a left footer. The no, I mean, do you know we had this problem last year? I don't know if you guys remember when we played Aston Villa, where to accommodate for one player, he moved three players from their actual position to accommodate for that player. And what he did was it made us lose against Aston Villa. So no, I don't agree with that move. If we had Tomiyasu, yes, then Ben White go back to his normal position and Tomiyasu plays right back. Yeah, I can agree with that. But in this
It's a
game,
mistake to get rid of Suarez, Cedric Suarez, and not replace him with a cover.
yeah and no, because we got two right backs, and it's not something that you could really see as a potential issue, and you didn't think that Saliba would get that long of a break. And like you said, as much as obviously I said about the second goal about holding, most of those goals weren't really his fault if you look at it. The first goal, what could he do? Ramsey passed it straight to the guy. Let's be honest.
Even previously,
The
the fact
the
are still
third goal, the third goal, the
this
third
whole
goal.
come back in.
Sorry,
Your defense has gone Potters.
no, it has, it has.
They've lost the plot. I
It has.
mean, one player has
Do
who's
you
not even that vocal.
do you remember what I said? Not
made the
now.
whole team
No, do
fragile.
you remember what I said? Not now. I said I think even 4 or 5 games before that when we were playing at home, and I was telling you we're leaking too many goals. Even before Saliba went out, we were leaking too many goals, and I said it's
that time I understood it because I understood what Arteta was doing, which was trying to defend by attacking. Basically, try to avoid the elephant in the room, which is the nerves, by over attacking. But that comes back to bite you.
Yeah,
because
this is it.
you become more and more fragile in your defensive work, and then when you lose your perceivably best defender, the confidence goes.
And that's causing us an issue.
But I think it's a mistake because the moment they started dropping points, he should have realized that it's not that Holding's playing bad, but the fact is the belief system isn't there.
No.
That Holding is good enough. The players don't believe in him.
No.
And it's like the Harry Maguire situation at Man United. Doesn't matter how good he does. You can see the drop off in the team and the belief in him is the players don't believe in him. Forget the fans could back him, the manager could back him, the whole of England can back him. Those 10 other players on the pitch don't.
Listen, England's next European Championship, the two different centre backs gonna be Harry Holding and Rob Maguire. This rate.
I think you're being harsh on Southgate's favourite. Dyer. I think you forgot Dyer.
Eric Diabolical. We'll get to him.
Yeah, Diabolical. So,
but I mean, as much as obviously it looks doom and gloom for Arsenal, but it comes down to if it's a big if they beat City, they get that kind of onus back more. Like what do you reckon? Because it's a big game coming up on Wednesday.
I think it falls into things could not have lined up better for City.
Yeah, 100%.
Because from a position where Arsenal just don't need to lose, and City are having to attack at a time when they've got multiple games, they play multiple more games. He's even said it, his players are fatigued. He's having to so many rotations. The number one thing he's thinking about more than winning is how to keep his players fresh. And now they've got a game where they don't have to attack.
Yeah. They can
play their possession football, let Arsenal over attack and pick them off. I don't think things could have worked out any better for.
But yeah, it's on Arsenal now because they have to go out there and win.
That will suit them because let's be honest, the Arteta's formula has been outplayed the opposition, over attack. He has, like we said, he hasn't really worked on game plans, counter attacking, managing games. So keep going for it. It's the Liverpool model, basically, of win the title by scoring more than the opposition and attacking. And the thing is, it worked for Liverpool because they, at that time, had individually very good defenders. And an amazing goalkeeper. Arsenal have that.
That's what I was gonna say because I'm getting just flashes in my eyes of Rob holding against Erling Haaland. That's what I'm getting nightmares. But I mean, like you said, I mean, it's perfectly set for City because they can pretty much do what they did to us at the Emirates, where they can just play us and be experienced and even if it's a draw, they don't mind the draw because they're still in the front seat.
Yep, yep, and I definitely think main thing is the fatigue and the energy levels. They are playing so many more games. They can now sit off and do that thing, and they're the only team that does that.
But they
Where
can they got
their
they got
counter
enough to
attacking
rotate anyways.
is basically just keep the ball and not attack.
Yeah.
That is how they counter attack by keeping possession and not moving the ball forward. And it's so frustrating to watch. And now we're just gonna see a game
Oh,
where
they done a similar thing against Bayern Munich. If you look at it,
yeah,
a prime
yeah.
example would be that Bayern Munich game.
But that's the thing. I think that's the development of this team is last few years they actually haven't shown they could do. They are actually playing on the counter attack. They're not just doing the possession thing. They are actually
Yeah.
defending well in a low block and then going a bit direct over the top in their attack. So these are things City didn't do. It
Mhm.
shows the evolution of the team, the development of Pep. They are accepting that now there are certain teams whose press is just so good that you
But
can't be that arrogant to think you can play out all the
yeah.
time. You
And
have to make
again, another thing I saw is the way Pep's managing expectations as well as kind of driving his players with the way he speaks and what the message he's putting out there in the media. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't I didn't fully look into like Pep and stuff that much before, but like obviously this season because of Arsenal and stuff, I've been fully focused a bit more, and you can see these different things that you wouldn't probably pick up before, or I wouldn't pick up because I wasn't watching their press conference, etc., so on and so forth.
no,
So
definitely
it's
he's timed it for this running.
yeah,
Everything
yeah,
he's been doing has been building up for everybody to peak on
at
this
the right
run.
way.
So he's been playing the long game since the season started, and yeah, I mean, may potentially that extra planning could pay dividends with a treble.
Only thing, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Only thing that could stop City from a treble is Pep Guardiola overthinking.
Which again, at the moment, seems like he's not doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't know, he hasn't done it against Bayern.
No, no.
Hasn't done it in any of the big games. So by now he would have done, he would have already done it, and he hasn't done it yet. So
Let's wait. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. We still they still got the finals left. Don't worry. You can still overthink just like you done against Chelsea. But yeah, I mean firmly on City's hand to be honest. And I think obviously this it could hit the nail in the coffin on Wednesday night. Let's move on. I mean to St James's Park where Spurs let 5 goals in 21 minutes. I mean. What do you make of that Eric diabolical performance?
yeah, you could say something very similar to the Arsenal situation in the terms that those players have become so set on the wing back system
Mm.
that the moment Stellini changed it, they capsized. I mean, the 4-3-3 did not work. And uh, one thing is Conte prefers that system, but there's also when you look at Tottenham, if you play Dyer, I'm sorry, you need another two defenders. You're
Yeah.
minus a player straight away. He is not Premier standard, top four standard. You can tell he's a great leader. He's a good speaker. He's a loyal player. He's got all those other qualities, but at the end of the day, he's not top notch in actual defending. And they played him with Romero, who's as wild as you can get. I mean, if you have Romero, you need someone sweeping
Yeah.
and someone who's very good at defending because Romero is as wild as you're gonna get.
Or someone that can control him. So you need someone that can dictate.
An organizer, an
Yeah,
experienced guy, a good defender.
yeah, yeah.
And then
And
I
then
have so
and
we
then you
saw
have
the
two attacking fullbacks in Porro, who's played right wing back most of his
yeah.
life, and even Perisic.
Yeah,
Even
I think it's amateur managing from
I think even
Slovenia.
though they had Davis on the bench, Ben Davis.
Yeah, obviously he's gone with attacking lineup. I think he's trying to take the reins off this whole, approach that Conte had. But the players aren't good enough. The system does not allow for for you to control games. This, two players in midfield cannot cover the gaps.
Mm, mm.
So I just feel like, yeah, that team, that squad, as much as everyone's complaining about Conte, now you're seeing the flaws.
I just think he
He
was very
needs serious
naive.
coaching. You look at every one of that back line. Even Langley, who was highly rated, he hasn't really impressed.
No,
I'll be
no.
honest, Davis has probably been their best defender when he has played.
Agreed, agreed.
When I've watched him, he's done last ditch tackles. He's been offensively the best defender too. So um, yeah, I mean Sanchez, we can already see the meltdown he's having. Dyer, who's impregnable, just survives every manager, every inquest into Tottenham performance. He survives. We've been talking about him for since the podcast started, how bad he is, and he still starts every game. I
He's
mean,
Adi, he's the first name on the team sheet. You cannot drop Eric Dyer, okay?
he,
And he's the
he,
first sub for Gareth Southgate. Okay, how can you diss him like that? You're disrespectful.
he holds he holds the title for teacher's pet, definitely. And every manager seems to love him,
But
irrespective of performances.
even I was hearing Stellini's press conference, and even I mean, he said, "Oh, if it's because of the formation style, I take the blame and stuff." Oh, of course it's because of the formation because your team can't play it. And how can you be so naive to go away at St James's Park, knowing how Newcastle start going that open? I don't know. I just found that very.
I think, look, as a plan, I think he done the right thing. Did he pick the right person? And no, he didn't.
Mm, mm.
As a plan, though, I could understand exactly what he tried matching the three in midfield
Yeah, yeah.
of Newcastle between the three in the midfield by bringing Pepe Sarr in. The problem is Sarr is not a regular, and he doesn't play the CDM position, which is where you're forcing him to play the central CDM. He's more of a box to box. Skip, for all the industry effort he does, and he does these breaks and puts all these effort. There's potential in him. At the end of the day, he's not going to cause anyone any nightmares.
No.
And then Højbjerg, who plays well, who's had, I think, quite a decent season, but he cannot match up against the work rate and the effort and the guile and everything of that Newcastle midfield.
Mm, mm.
So I do understand what Stellini tried doing, but then you can't play four at the back with two ultra attacking fullbacks and Dyer and because
Yeah.
let's be honest, Romero is more attacking than any of the fullbacks. Why are you going to have a tree stuck on the ground in Dyer against every other attacking player, and then you got like an invisible goalkeeper on top of that?
Yeah, but that Joe Linton goal is just a prime example. Eric Dyer had nowhere to be seen, standing still, and Romero just ball watching. Because you see Joe Linton go point and then run into there, take the keeper. Oh, just like forget about it, man. And Isak's goal. What? How can Isak beat you from there? Come on, man.
Yeah,
And
but even
it wasn't even a difficult shot. Let's be honest, it wasn't a hard shot.
but even the first goal, Joelinton's shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a great shot. You're right on that side. How are you palming it
Back
all the
into
way
play.
through? Yeah, I mean, that has to be at Fortuna or I don't
Or
know.
out wide, yeah, out wide.
But
Yeah.
Lloris has been poor all season, uh, and Forster has been unlucky to get dropped because he was doing better than Lloris in terms of not making any mistakes when he came into the team. So yeah, today is the day basically the team got shell shocked by the formation. It only needed an early goal for them to give up and use the formation as an excuse. And it comes back to what Conte said, where the players are selfish and have weak mentality.
Mm.
It's, you're seeing it now. You're seeing how much Conte was papering over the cracks with his mentality.
I mean, they've gone worse now. They play 32 games. Both teams ahead of them have game in hand, and they're 6 points ahead of them. They're pretty much just throwing. They're pretty much, you
And
could
they've
say,
had a
throwing the
couple of
defense.
results where they've got the results when they didn't deserve it.
No, no.
The Brighton game and the game before that, where they weren't really the
They
better
drew.
team.
They drew the game before that. Yeah.
Yeah, but they should have lost. So I just think, yeah. But, but look, does it surprise you? Man United did the same experiment last year with the interim manager, Ragnick, who doesn't have a clue, hadn't managed for years, and it didn't work. Well, has Spurs done the exact same thing? They put an assistant manager who's never managed before, who had a stint where he started off okay, but then drew and lost against teams they should have beaten. And the thing is, he wasn't changing anything, and now he decided to change something. The team he's done a away at St James Park against a team that's on form. That it's very hard to be. It was probably wrong time, wrong experiment,
Yeah.
definitely wrong personnel.
But we have to also, because enough about Tottenham, we have to give credit to Eddie Howe and his Newcastle team because I mean, they took those opportunities that Spurs provided, and he could have been easily 7-8-9-0.
Yeah, I mean they were rampant. They dominated. The thing is, when you play against Newcastle, it's gonna be a physical game. They do bully you. They slide in, they foul you, they take you out. They're a very physical team. Every single one of them. There's not one player that doesn't put a shift in and or take you out. So as we saw against Aston Villa, as soon as they come up against a team that match up against that well, uh, they can be quite subdued. They can be quite basic, and Aston Villa absolutely overpowered Newcastle. So their biggest thing is their pressing, is their physicality, is their extra fitness. I do feel like Newcastle is the fittest team in the Premier League. Their fitness levels, you can see it.
Mm.
It's miles better than most teams. And yeah, it's that's you know what you're gonna get. That first half an hour, first 15 minutes, it's gonna be all out attack from
Yeah.
Newcastle.
Would you say they're favourites now to get a top four spot or Champions League spot?
I thought it was a time ago when you
Yeah.
asked me. We said, none of the other teams are good enough to. Who did I say at the time? I got more hope in Brighton.
Yeah, Brighton, yeah.
Wasn't
But
an upset.
they do play Brighton. They do play Brighton second, I think second to last game. So
Yeah.
um talking of other potential prospects, Liverpool, any chance of Liverpool? Obviously they won against Nottingham Forest, made it quite difficult for themselves. I thought Nottingham Forest also had chance to maybe equalize and even win the game.
Hit the bar. They
Yeah,
hit the bar.
twice.
They were close to equalizing. Um, Fact that Liverpool hanged on, had to hang on to keep that win. It wasn't an easy victory. And when you look at the manner of the goals they scored, how many teams are they going to come up against where they're defending set pieces is as poor as
Nottingham Forest. Yeah.
Forest? I mean, the Salah goal. Have you ever seen Salah ever score a goal like that? Yard box tapping in from a free kick. So some of the marking and the way, and I think it's been highlighted. I mean, they're so focused on Fabinho that they forgot to mark anyone else. Liverpool, yeah, I'm not sure about Liverpool whether they can, win out all their games. Their defense looks very leaky.
Mm.
Their attack doesn't actually look that great. I mean, I know they had, the big win against Leeds and a couple of big wins, but that's Liverpool. Sometimes when they get in front and they play against equally weak defenses, they will punish you. They are one of the more efficient teams
Mm.
at punishing you. But I'm not sure. Looking at the manner of their goals, looking at the manner of the goals they're conceding, I still think they will drop points. It kind of depends on their fixture list.
I
If they
mean,
play,
the fixture list is okay, I would say, because they got what? They got West Ham away, who's on form, you would say. 4-0 win. Then they got Tottenham at home,
that's easy.
you know, Fulham at home, Brentford at home,
Wow, a lot of home games, so
yeah, Leicester away,
that's easy.
yeah, Aston Villa at home,
That's
and
good
then
home games. Yeah,
finishing off with by then probably relegated Southampton.
yeah, they've got good fixture list. So yeah, kind of. I don't. I don't think they'd get top four. United and Newcastle would have. It just feels like they've got enough about them to
Yeah.
get enough points. But yeah, maybe that fifth spot, sixth spot, definitely you'd say Liverpool will get into the European places.
Mm. Because I mean, it's obviously all of a sudden Jota's now scoring and stuff. So Diaz is back. So that front line is all of a sudden looks ramped up now. So I'm sure they'll score enough goals for them to, you know,
But
impact that top
the,
line.
pro the problem they have is they've got their front line defense, and even now their front line midfield, Thiago's back and is coming on, and they are still conceding chances.
Mm.
And said Nottingham Forest had the chance to equalize. So that's what worries me is fine. Yeah, they're gonna score and they're gonna win more than they lose because their attack is better than most defenses that especially they're coming up against. But there'll be there will be the game where they still drop points.
Yeah, because this is a Nottingham Forest team that don't score many goals, especially away from home. They don't score barely anything, and
Yeah.
to them, so it's major. But I mean, obviously, Steve Cooper and Nottingham Forest. I mean, it's just going from bad to worse. To be honest, for them, it just doesn't seem like they can get any sort of momentum or anything to.
Well,
Maybe this performance they can build on slightly something
I
to.
think I think that performance is momentum,
Mm.
but because before they weren't even getting any performances, they weren't getting any goals, and I think the reaction after going 3-2 down for them to continue to push and cause problems. It's kind of the spirit and the character that we've been expected to see from this young, hungry Nottingham Forest team, and we haven't really seen it. We've seen a lack of heart. We've seen a lack of,
Yeah.
you know, passion, and we saw that against Liverpool. So I think that's the way they have to go. But they got a horrendous fixture list. I mean, their one is they've got such tough games.
They've got
It
one.
might suit them because they seem to perform better against the better teams.
I mean, out of most of the team, I think they got slightly the harder of the runnings because they've got what Brighton at home next, then Brentford away, then they got Southampton and Crystal Palace, two teams they could potentially.
Yeah, then after
They can
that,
get
it's very
6 points.
difficult, ain't it?
No, sorry, Crystal Palace is the last game I do. So, but in between that, they've got Chelsea away and then Arsenal at home. So,
Yeah, very tough list. But
yeah.
I suppose the good thing is, Chelsea is a team that's firing in all
No,
cylinders.
no.
So
I mean, how many points do you
after
reckon they
playing,
need? If they get about 33, 36 points, can they survive?
I think this year about 37 points might do it. 37 points might do it.
Mm.
You got to remember a lot of teams are playing each other. So some of them will pick up points now.
Yeah.
Um, all those teams around the bottom are also playing each other. So that's where obviously Nottingham Forest just haven't done good enough, which is pick points against the teams around them enough. So now they've got their harder fixture list, they're going to have to pull out performances. But I don't think the teams are consistently good enough for them. The magic 40 points, it might be slightly less because they keep taking points off each other.
Yeah. Because I think Crystal Palace can pretty much say they're safe on 37 points. I don't think
Who?
Chelsea are in any danger. Um, West Ham, I mean West Ham and Wolves both on 34 points. Again, they got decent fixtures that they can potentially win and get 3 to 6 points out
I
of the
think
last six.
it's more a question of can there may be only one team that can make a fight of it, but definitely not all three teams.
Mm.
There may be one team, maybe not in first, maybe one of the teams that's right down there, Leicester.
Do you think Everton survive because they're on obviously 18th position, and Bournemouth who have I don't know recently picked up quite a few points. I do out of the last five, won three, lost two, so they picked up 9 points in the last 5 games.
But they lost a big game today at
Yeah,
home. If they
exactly.
had drawn or something, I think that could have seen them through.
Mm.
But I mean, it's going to be like every week. It's the head-to-heads are going to matter. The home advantage is going to matter. Leeds is the team that's completely suddenly plummeted, and they just look a real disjointed team that just wants to over-attack. But defensively, they look so poor right
Yeah.
now that you'd worry for them.
I think in the last 2 games, I think they considered something like 8 or 9 goals. So
Yeah. And the other teams you can see slight improvements. You can see where they're improving, whether it's enough for them to score and win. Like we've been saying, Southampton defensively have improved a lot. Whether they can get goals has always been the question. And Leicester defensively has always been their problem. They've got goals in their team.
one thing I was gonna say, Adi, sorry to cut you up, is Bournemouth do have a favorable um games in terms of all the opposition are pretty much around them, and most of them are at home. So
They played West Ham at
yeah,
home
but
today.
West Ham
Yeah,
are
you're gonna
probably
tell me
better than
West
that.
Ham now in
Come on, man.
14th.
Come on, West Ham are better than the other ones, isn't it?
So what? They've been below par whole season.
Mm, mm.
So I just think that don't matter. It's about how you perform in it. And
Yeah, but all they need to do is
again,
win
Bournemouth is
two.
one of those
They
teams.
need
They
to win
seem to
two.
play better against the big teams
Mm,
because they're good with their press. They want teams that try and play out. They're better against those teams. So this direct football where you have to defend your box. They go too deep and they struggle.
yeah.
Like so today against West Ham.
I could potentially even see three of the like old guard of Premier League teams going down, and all of the newly promoted sides staying up, or obviously Nottingham Forest and two Premier League sides going down. But that's what it looks like at the bottom down there.
Yeah, it's gonna be up and down.
Yeah. What do you make of
It's come
obviously?
down to real small margins.
Yeah. What do you make of the appointment of Smith? Um,
I
Leicester.
think he's very similar to what they had, which was Rodgers, who's a very offensive-minded coach. So is Smith, and I think that what they really need is someone who actually organizes them off the ball.
Mm,
So even though they got the win, I expect them to probably have a slight improvement at home. But yeah, I just think it's very similar appointment to what they've got. But
yeah.
the new manager of Vance, he's already got Soyuncu back into the team.
Tillemans back
Already
into the
getting
team.
better defensively. Soyuncu, going into the defense with Fires looks much better already. So I think, yeah, whatever was going on under Rodgers and certain players being left out, clearly there's a breakdown somewhere. That bounce could really help them,
Mm,
but I don't think they're going to run away with it. Like the moment Hodgson got appointed, we said Crystal Palace are safe, and it's proven 3 wins and a draw. And I said even on that day that they may overtake Chelsea. They're only 2 points behind them now. So, you know, you can tell certain things, but I think with Dean Smith, it's still hit and miss. They're gonna win some, they're gonna lose some. It all depends on who gets more than the other.
I think it's gonna go that bottom race is gonna go right down to the wire. And it's interesting for the Premier League. So, but let's move away from the Premier League. Let's move to the FA Cup action, and obviously your team, Man United, got a result against Brighton today, winning on penalties. What's your reaction to it? And obviously setting up a derby final against Manchester City.
Yeah, it's a tough game. Brighton weren't at their fluent best.
No, no.
I thought United defensively was one of their best performances I've seen in a while. Um, Even then, Brighton was still posing difficulty and problems, but
I don't think they created anything.
United challenged them. United defended. United had to defend, and I think that stopped Brighton at any point completely dominating like they have been, completely getting into a rhythm of constant attacks and consistent building of pressure. But yeah, I thought for all the possession and probably build-up play that Brighton had and domination of the possession, the best chances in the game actually went to United. The difference was United didn't test the keeper, but Brighton had chances that tested the keeper. They weren't the greatest of chances, but at least they tested the keeper. So it looks like, yeah, De Gea was the busy keeper. But from the chances, I mean, Anthony, Fernandez, there's some guilty chances there.
And there's some of them. There's some of them. I don't know about you, I do, but I felt like United overplayed it, whereas before they didn't kind of like wait. Because there was one, Sancho opens it up completely for him. That far post is opened up, and he decides to take another touch and then play it back. I'm like, you're in front of goal, 7-8 yards out. Shoot.
That's Sancho for you at the moment.
Why?
But
how much more of an invitation do you need?
definitely, I think definitely United are struggling with efficiency, putting away chances. That assassin mode that they had when they were on a run before, like a month ago, that's gone. I think the fatigue, the mental fatigue, is there. I mean, Fernandez isn't finishing off good. Like he's getting good shots and he's not even testing the keeper half the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, scoring goals is a problem. Creating them ain't. They are creating good chances. Yeah, and they're grinding out results. No matter what, they'll have the odd game where they completely don't turn up. It's because there's just been asked too much of them.
Yeah.
And with such a squad where so many players don't play with heart, aren't that confident, I just think what Ten Hag is doing is commendable because he's getting everything he can out of them. And yeah, they're going to have fluctuation in performances because of the amount of games they played. I mean, they've overachieved. Doesn't matter about the money they've spent. That squad is not better. And some of those players are not better than many of the teams they're above, in my opinion. I just think they're doing a good job. They've had to contend with a lot of injuries.
Well, another final. 2 out of 2 2 out of 3. And you would pretty much say that top 4 place is pretty much sealed as well. So not a bad season overall.
Challenging fix. I mean, I wouldn't say it's pretty much sealed. They just need, if they win a couple more, it'll kill the competition off.
Yeah, because if we look at the fixture list, I do.
There's some tough ones in there. Brighton, Tottenham away.
Well, they got Tottenham away. Forget it, man.
But it's still a rival, isn't
it? Yeah, they got Tottenham. The next 3 fixtures look quite hard because they got. And Tottenham.
You're saying, oh, come on, you're gonna get a reaction after a 6-1 drubbing from Newcastle. So it's a harder fixture now than it was.
Let's hope for your sake they don't.
They
Um,
were
but
clever.
yeah, they got Aston Villa and then Brighton away, West Ham, Wolves, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Fulham. So
Yeah, again, so they're not they're not
but I think they
Wolves,
got
Wolves can be
games in hand and
difficult. Chelsea can always be difficult.
mm. Well, it's only one game from now on, so hopefully the players will get a bit more rest now because obviously the final will happen towards the end
I think but
of the
fatigue
season.
already set in. I mean, there's
Yeah.
constantly getting players injured, the muscle injuries. There's players limping off today. A lot of players carried on playing, while limping.
Mm.
So they're just battling on, and yeah, hopefully they have enough about them, which they've shown all season that they play to win. So
Yeah.
they may lose the odd game, but they'll keep winning as well.
Yeah. City, Riyad Mahrez hat trick. Well, I mean, what do you make of it? I mean, another brilliant performance from them.
Yeah, another professional,
Expected, I would say.
really good, really good performance. Again, they needed that penalty though. I thought I was quite impressed with Sheffield United in the sense that they performed better than a lot of Premiership teams have
Yeah,
against
yeah.
City. But they impressed me. They were having a go. Obviously, City's they're going to dominate position. They're going to create chances, but it still took that goal, that penalty for before they could really
Mm.
open up the floodgates. And yeah, Mahrez, that second goal was scintillating. That run, they just look like a well-oiled machine right now. They look really in ruthless mode.
Firing on all cylinders at the moment. That's what they are doing. And like they were able to rest a lot of their key players as well within this game. So hopefully
I
they'll
think that's
push
that's
for the
that's the
next
key
games.
thing is even against Bayern, they're able to take players off.
Yeah,
The game before that, De Bruyne, basically De Bruyne is getting rest.
yeah, yeah.
They know who the main man is. So
They're oiling him up for Arsenal.
they're
So
keeping
that
him fresh for Arsenal, yeah.
oh man. But yeah, good final to look forward to, no? Manchester Derby, FA Cup final.
Yeah, I think it is because it's one of those games where, all right, City will probably dominate it, but at least with United, they're gonna play to win. They will attack.
I,
They
I,
might not dominate the possession or try to dominate, but they will try to win the game.
I think United got a chance to win. I don't know about you, but I think there's a still chance there.
I'm not sure. Something tells me
You're thinking of treble, aren't you?
I think it could be poetic that City does the treble while beating United on the way to
Ooh.
emulate them.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay, okay, that's a good call. That's a good.
That something, but again, you can't begrudge this City team. I mean,
No, 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 no.
this season is the season Pep's impressed me the most, and he's showing he can handle big stars, big names, and adapt and kind of slowly buy his time to coach them because they weren't playing the Pep way for most of the season, and
No.
it's kind of like he's bided his time, waiting for the right moment, and now they're all buying into it. You saw if you see against the game against Sheffield United, how much link-up play was Haaland doing non-stop, coming into the pocket, playing that false nine role. So you can see the development of the players into his system.
Mm. I mean, it's the right time to do it, isn't it? The right time for all of the things to fit in and like reduce the injuries or everything else. So yeah, it's perfect for them at the moment. Yeah, sets up for a really exciting, heart wrenching.
The worst thing will be if City beat Arsenal and then run away with it, and then by the end of the season, it looks like a 5 to 8 point gap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be bad.
Because it's not going to do justice to what an actual exciting season it's been.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Oh,
hope,
definitely.
but something tells me it might end up being comfortable. The way things are just lining up, it just feels like everything seems, the planning and the execution of City has been so good that everything is working
Come
in
on, you
their favor.
Gunners. Come on, you Gunners.
Yeah.
Even at least get a draw, man. Come on, for God's sakes, man. Just don't kill me, man.
Keep it interesting.
Don't kill
Keep it
me.
interesting.
Don't kill me. Oh, it's gonna be a painful watch. I think that's all I'm gonna say. It's gonna be a painful watch. But for
I
those of
think the one good thing is it's going to be a good watch because no matter what we've seen all
for
season,
you and
Arsenal,
not for me,
no, no,
not for
no.
me.
But the thing is, even for an Arsenal fan, you will still enjoy the fact that you are outplaying a team of Man City's caliber to some level and attacking them uh, after years of just being outplayed.
No,
You will enjoy
definitely.
at least that development of the team more than previous years. So I like the fact that Arsenal will attack. I do think it may fall into City's hands, but like I said, Arsenal has proven everyone wrong all season. So
One
we
more,
can
one more. Come on, one more,
about six more.
one more.
Six more.
Listen, think of one match at a time, I do. Let's get over this hurdle.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see.
Just like I said, let's get over April. Let's get over this game.
Yeah.
Oh, well, for everyone, I mean, hopefully it wasn't a painful watch. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and as always, thank you.